Alright, so by now, if you know of me or my channel, the chances of you knowing about the Warriors is already very likely, so I'm not going to say much for this little introduction section. Just know that this iceberg was not made by me. It was made by a deleted user on the r/the Warriors subreddit. Yes, I used Reddit once to find this. I'm sorry. I swear to God, I will never use Reddit ever again. So, make sure you grab some little snacky snacks, maybe a glass of Mexican Coke, some zombie takis.
Oh.
Wait, what? What? Zombie takis are fucking gone already? What? How? It hasn't even been that long. And let's get into this video. Alright, tier 1 is the bare minimum type shit, so we're just gonna speed run through this. The Warriors 1979 is self-explanatory. Essentially, it's just the release of the 1979 movie directed by Walter Hill with a soundtrack composed by Barry Dvorzan that follows the story of the Coney Island Warriors to a meeting in Vancouver Park, in which the gang leader who called this meeting for the gangs to attend, Cyrus from the Riffs, got shot by some loser named Luther. The blame gets pinned on the Warriors, Cleon gets beaten to death with only elbows, and the Warriors, comprised of Swan, Snow, Ajax, Cochise, Cowboy, Vermin, Fox, and Rembrandt, are forced to make it all the way back to Coney while every other gang tries to kill them for Luther's bitch ass blaming Cyrus's death on the Warriors. Obviously, this movie became a cult classic with shit like the Baseball Furies chase, the Punk's bathroom fight, Cyrus's speech, Luther saying Warriors come out to play, and the radio DJ all being staples of said movie. Eventually, in 2005, Rockstar Games released a video game based off of the movie that gives Cleon significantly more than 16 minutes of screen time, and unlike the movie, he actually plays a massive role. Okay, now that we have that over and done with, let's move on to... Okay, so the first one seen as polemics on release, I'm assuming is about how when the movie originally debuted in theaters, there were reportedly fights breaking out in the middle of the theater due to the movie's violent nature, in which, like, side note, it's not the movie's fault people wanted to be dumbasses in the theater, but due to said fights breaking out, the Warriors was essentially boycotted and there were protests against the screening of the movie outside of theaters. The Destroyers. The Destroyers are another Coney Island gang from the east side of Coney that is essentially the Warriors' rival gang. After the leader of the Destroyers, Virgil, lets his paranoia get the better of him, he chooses to set Cleon and Vermin up in a drug deal gone wrong. With Cleon and Vermin betrayed, they leave the Destroyers and start a new Coney Island gang called the Warriors. Ajax Jailbreak. As you may already know, during the events of the movie, Ajax tries to SA a lady on a park bench after the Baseball Furies fight. Thankfully, the lady he tried to SA was an undercover cop, and Ajax gets arrested. The jailbreak comics of the Warriors are centered around the Warriors breaking Ajax out of jail and the Warriors' everyday life after the events of the movie, with the protagonists being Swan, Rembrandt, and of course, Ajax. Personally, I really liked reading this comic because it shows Rembrandt and Swan's struggles of wanting to leave gang life behind. In Rembrandt's case, he debates on whether or not he should continue his studies of the arts in school. In Swan's case, he just debates on whether or not if he should get on with his life already and leave all this gang shit that he participated in his past. The Lizzies. The Lizzies are a gang that the Warriors meet on their way back home from the big meeting where Cyrus was killed. There isn't much information on the Lizzies aside from the fact that it's an all-girls gang, but we do know that they are also heavily hinted at being either a lesbian or bisexual gang. So, hey, there's some good LGTV rep. Street Brawl, 2009. The Warriors Street Brawl is a more traditional side-scrolling brawler game. One of the more notable reasons the game is known is because people in the fandom hate this game. And to be honest, I understand why. It's a piss poor attempt at being a retelling of the movie script, and while the gameplay itself isn't bad, the story is too fast-paced, and the slightly revamped character designs look off and odd. And not to mention the art style and attempt at cutscenes in the game isn't very good at all. Also, not to mention how half of the fucking gang just isn't there at all. Action figures is pretty self-explanatory. The Warriors had action figures sold of Cleon, Ajax, Swan, Luther, and 2 Baseball Furies, and as usual with old toys, these are pretty damn expensive now. The orphans were not invited. In the movie and the video game, the Warriors on the trip back home see a small-time gang that goes by the name of the Orphans. The Warriors, at least their original plan, was that they were going to pass by the Orphans' turf unscathed due to them never being invited to the big meeting and not knowing about the massive manhunt on the Warriors. Or at least that was the plan until Mercy decided to instigate a fight between the Warriors and the Orphans, in which Swan blew up a car with a Molotov cocktail that Snow was for some reason carrying to scare off the Orphans, while the Warriors booked it to the next train with Mercy in tow. Mercy and Fox, original script. In the original script, Mercy and Fox were going to have a love subplot, but eventually they realized that Thomas G. Waits, the actor for Fox, and Deborah Von Valkenburg, the actress for Mercy, didn't have enough chemistry, so they changed the script to Swan and Mercy having the love subplot instead of Fox and Mercy for the final rendition of the movie, because the actors for Swan and Mercy just had better chemistry together. The Warriors, 2005 Director's Cut. The 2005 Director's Cut of the Warriors movie has many changes to the movie's pacing and art direction, such as having an opening monologue narrated by Orson Welles of the inspiration of the Warriors from the Greek gods, and many comic book transitions. Although due to these transitions and pacing problems with these transitions, the director's cut is often seen as the inferior way to watch the movie when compared to the theatrical cut. Ash. Ash is a minor character from the Warriors 2005 video game in which he is a new blood that joined around the same time as Rembrandt, and he's a good friend of Vermin's. Throughout most of his time in the game, Ash is just kinda there until Mission 9 titled Paying the Cost, where the Destroyers attempt to harm the businesses of West Coney that are under the Warriors' protection. Cleon tells Ash to go and scout at Tony's fish market and then report back to him with information. The Warriors defend the stores from the Destroyers and regroup, but Ash isn't there with them. Tony himself comes up to Cleon, tells him everything is fucked up, and then hands him Ash's vest and says that the Destroyers were at his store. Cleon and Swan go up to Tony's fish market to find Ash inside the shop beaten to death, but just then, Cleon realizes that this was also a trap. Cleon and Swan run out of the shop to find themselves cornered and confined in a small parking lot locked in by a gate, with Destroyers throwing Molotov cocktails from them on the roofs. Cleon and Swan escape by the skin of their teeth and decide to regroup with the rest of the Warriors to declare war on the Destroyers that same night. Robert De Niro as Cowboy. Robert De Niro was originally casted to play Cowboy, but Robert De Niro turned down the offer. Lincoln. Lincoln is Cleon's girlfriend, and it can only be seen in the deleted scenes from the movie. Funnily enough, Lincoln had casted doubt on the meeting as a whole and thought it was sketchy, but Cleon persisted, and eventually he died as a result. Luther's Officer Badge. Luther's officer badge refers to a police badge that's always on Luther's leather jacket. In the game during the mission Boys in Blue, it's shown that Luther had killed a police officer and stole his gun, and that was the same gun that he used to kill Cyrus. So it's not out of the realm of the possibility that Luther has killed a cop and took his badge before. 1955 Cadillac hearse. This is just referring to Luther's old trashed up car with no front seats. The Warriors 1965. This spot in the Iceberg is basically just about how not many people know that the Warriors 1979 movie was loosely based on the 1965 novel by Sol Yurik, which has many differences as opposed to the movie and game. It's a pretty good read, and I would definitely recommend it. real gang members in the cast. This spot is about how, in order for the movie to have enough people for the big meeting and to keep local gangs off of their backs, the production team would pay real gang members off for them to appear in the movie, most of them being in the big meeting scene. Hell's Angels controversy. From what I remember, the original design of the skull with wings was made by a Hell's Angels member, so they paid them off to use the logo on the back of the Warriors vest, which is why, in the video game and every other iteration of the Warriors vest going forward, they changed the Warriors logo to a flaming cobra logo. Vance. To be honest, I don't know why the fuck Vance is on this iceberg. He's just the leader of the punks, you know, that stupid guy with the whack-ass roller skates? Yeah, it's literally just him. Virgil's death. After the death of Ash at the hands of the Destroyers, the Warriors decide to take revenge and completely take out the Destroyers as a whole. As the Warriors go about East Coney rampaging stores and pimps under Destroyer protection, Virgil catches wind of this and is pissed. Virgil tells the rest of the Destroyer members to soldier, including the zombie crack junkie LC. The Warriors storm the Destroyer's hangout and manage to completely wipe them all out, besides Virgil. Just then, the Warriors sees LC sneak out of the hangout, so Cleon and Vermin decide to follow him. LC indirectly leads them to the shack where Cleon promptly kicks his ass, and as you go into the shack, you have one final battle against Virgil. After defeating Virgil, Cleon kills Virgil by throwing a Molotov cocktail on him, leading to Virgil burning to death and his shack to go up in flames. Okay, seriously though, what is up with these fucking New Yorkers and these Molotov cocktails? Do they have any other weapons? Sully already knew about the Warriors. This part on the iceberg is basically that in the video game, there's a previous mission of the orphans where they talk some shit over the radio, and then you go and beat their ass, and then like Sully cries because you destroyed his car and shit. But like in the movie, you know, apparently that doesn't happen in that continuity because Sully acts as if he's never seen the Warriors before. But in the game, Sully very clearly states, "Oh, you guys again?" So I just think that's kind of funny. Jones Street Boys in the movie. This just refers to the Jones Street Boys colors. You know, the stupid ass yellow and black stripes. They appear in the movie. They appear in the movie looking like a bee as always.
Fox's actor disagreement with the director. From what I know, Fox's actor, Thomas G. Waits, had many disagreements and arguments with the director, Walter Hill, which eventually led Thomas being fired, getting his character killed off, and him not getting credited in the original movie credits. Although now Thomas G. Waits has apologized and him and Walter are on good terms now. Vermin light blue jeans. The actor for Vermin, Terry Mitchell, said that considering he didn't have much lines, he decided to wear some light blue jeans in order to stand out a bit more. And honestly, it did work. Masai wasn't named in the movie. The title is essentially all this boils down to. Masai didn't actually have a name until the game in 2005. And honestly, good shit to Rockstar because Masai is a badass name. Rembrandt actor death, 1986. The actor for Rembrandt, Marcelino Sanchez, passed away on December 21st of 1986 due to an HIV/AIDS related cancer. For the Rockstar game released in 2005, they casted Andy Tenor Jr., who did a phenomenal job at bringing the character back to life. I can only imagine how proud Marcelino would be at the movie's cult classic status, where he's still around today. Cleon was killed, not wasted. Cleon was in fact beaten to death by only elbows in the beginning of the movie. Mercy is a prostitute. Before meeting the Warriors, Mercy was working as a prostitute for the orphans.
The Angry Cocks.
The Turnbull ACs have a small band called the Angry Cocks that play at the Red Devil. The setup soundtrack nostalgia. Many people who've played the game, including me, have a sense of nostalgia specifically for the tracks used in the setup mission from the 2005 Rockstar game. Thurman Fury's stereotype. The Baseball Furies have a stereotype of not speaking at all and only grunting. This leads to them being one of the most memorable gangs from the entire franchise. Flash equals cocaine.
I'm finna do drugs. He will turn red and pulsate. Press the right directional button. This nigga said, "Don't be pussy, just take it." He just snorted it. He just snorted it.
Rembrandt is homo. This is most evident during the scene where Rembrandt, Vermin, and Cochise go to the Lizzies' hangout, and Rembrandt shows absolutely zero interest in dancing with them, or anything of the like. Now this could be written off as Rembrandt being skeptical or scared if it weren't for Walter Hill himself confirming that Rembrandt's a little fruity from a 2017 interview. Ajax Ghost. After beating the Armies of the Night arcade game in the Rockstar game, you get a ghost version of Ajax in Rumble mode. I don't know why he's a ghost, but it's cool nonetheless. The Dingoes. The Dingoes are a stereotypical depiction of a homosexual gang who wore tight leather clothes and owned a Doberman. In the original script for the movie, Swan was going to be kidnapped by the Dingoes, but they eventually got completely written out of the script. The Wanderers. The Wanderers was basically the competition for the Warriors due to both of them being released around the same time and both being gang movies. Eventually, the Wanderers won the battle of the box office department, but the Warriors won the war, not having a cult classic status in today's day and age. As someone who's watched both The Wanderers and The Warriors, it's a decent movie. It's a little too cheesy for me personally, but there's a reason we're doing The Warriors Iceberg and not a Wanderers Iceberg. Roger Hill lawsuit. Roger Hill, the actor of Cyrus, apparently wasn't very fond that they used his likeness and voice in the 2005 game, so he decided to sue Take-Two, the parent company for Rockstar, for $250K. Eventually, he did win the case and got his bread. Chatterbox, depressive manic psychopathy. Many people theorize that the Hi-Hats leader Chatterbox is a psychopath. This has never been confirmed nor denied, but personally it would make sense if he was. Francis Conroy. Fox's legal name is Francis Conroy. That's about it. Cochise's deleted death. In the original movie script, Cochise was supposed to get killed by the Baseball Furies during the infamous Baseball Furies chase. Obviously, this doesn't happen in the final script. We Are the Mods. We Are the Mods was a Rockstar game that was going to take place in 1960s England when the Mod and Rockstar's brawl took place. Many people believe this would have been a spiritual successor to the 2005 Warriors game. Sadly, this never came to fruition because the game was cancelled. The Dominators. The Coney Island Dominators was essentially the Warriors of the 1965 book by Saul Urich. The Coney Island Dominators was made up to be predominantly black and Hispanic members.
The Second Witness. The man that comes up to the Rifts to tell them the truth of who shot Cyrus is completely shrouded in mystery. If you watched the movie or played the game, it is made very apparent that Fox was the first witness who saw Luther shoot Cyrus, which is why Luther blames it on the Warriors in the first place. But near the end of the movie, a second witness just sort of appears out of nowhere and says he saw Luther shoot Cyrus, which is why the Warriors are left off the hook in the end. Cyrus was a police rat. Okay, so I've heard this theory many times, and honestly, it's pretty interesting. So the theory is that Luther was contracted to take out Cyrus, who was a police informant who scheduled the big meeting to have all of the gang members there arrested. This does make a little bit of sense due to the shot of the police cars rolling up to the park but not making themselves known until Luther shoots Cyrus, but I do doubt this theory due to the fact that, number one, Luther blames the shooting on the Warriors, and number two, when confronted about why Luther shot Cyrus, he says, "I just like doing things like that." And in this case, if Luther actually was on the gang's side, it completely contradicts what the whole theory is about. ACs, unknown meaning in the Turnbull ACs. I think it is still unknown what the AC means in Turnbull ACs. Obviously, it's like an abbreviation of something, but nobody really knows what the fuck the AC stands for. Okay, I just had a brain blast moment. Okay, so like, what if the AC in Turnbull AC stands for Angry Cocks? That would make so much fucking sense. I'm such a genius! Mercy actress's broken wrist and nose. Apparently the actress for Mercy, Deborah, broke her wrist during the scene of her running down the subway with Fox due to Thomas accidentally not letting go of her hand. This is also the reason why she suddenly has a jacket on in the second half of the film, where she uses it to cover up her cast. As for the broken nose, that came from the scene where Swan throws a baseball bat at a cop's shins. Apparently Michael Beck, the actor for Swan, accidentally hit her in the nose during his wind-up for throwing the bat. The Colonial Lords. The Colonial Lords are a gang from the 1965 book that was later used as an inspiration for the rogues in the movie. the Southern Cross, and 100 more gangs. During Cyrus's speech, he says you're standing right now with 9 delegates from 100 gangs, and there's over 100 more. One of these 100 gangs is the Southern Cross, which is another gang that's shrouded in mystery, only appearing at the big meeting. It's speculated that from the name they might be a white supremacist gang. Anabasis 370 BC. The Warriors 1965 book is loosely based off of the ancient Greek text Anabasis, where Xenophon tells a story of him and his 10,000 army that was stranded in the Persian Empire after Cyrus the Younger was killed in battle. So essentially the normal story of the Warriors, but just in 370 BC, where Cyrus is Cyrus the Younger and Swan is Xenophon. Luther's boss. Some people theorize that Luther may have a boss or someone higher up in the gang. Personally, I don't think this is the case for many reasons, so yeah. Masai betrayed Cyrus. Some theories of Masai betraying Cyrus have gone around where people believe that Masai may have a hit on Cyrus and Luther was a hitman. I don't believe this theory for another bunch of reasons. I'm starting to sense a pattern here with these theories. Double homicide. The actor who had played a rogue's lieutenant recalled that a scene was interrupted due to a double homicide happening nearby. Gang R-word. See, I'm really not trying to get, fucked over by YouTube, and, I also don't like talking about this type of shit, so we're gonna make this quick, and I'm gonna replace, with R-word. So, in the movie, as most of you may know, Mercy follows the Warriors where they all meet, and that leads to Mercy tagging along with the Warriors. In the book, however, the girl who was essentially equivalent to Mercy, when she followed the Coney Island Dominators like Mercy did with the Warriors, the Coney Island Dominators proceeded to gang R-word her and then leave her behind. And I think I speak for everyone when I say it would be way better if we never returned to the book's version of events ever again. The 11 known but unnamed gangs. As stated earlier, Cyrus says there's over 100 gangs, but in the video game's gang codex, there's only 89 gangs in total that are known by name, which means there are 11 gangs that are unnamed, and we most likely won't ever find out what their names are. Rembrandt's unknown eerie past. Rembrandt has said before that he is glad he decided to join the gang because he wouldn't want to return to his position in life he had before. It's not known what he had going on before joining up with the Warriors, but we can only assume you gotta go through some fucked up shit to want to join a gang. Ishmael's the Man, 1965 book. For prior knowledge, Ishmael is basically the Cyrus of the Sol Uric novel. In said novel, Ishmael speaks of the man, who he says is responsible for all evil in society, and that's how it's all of the gang's duties to fight against it. Lots of people think that the man could just be referring to society as a whole, but some others speculate that maybe the man could be an actual person. But unfortunately, we'll have no way of knowing that, considering the author Sol Uric passed away in 2013. R.I.P. Except for that gang rape shit. You really need to be put down for that shit. Actually, you did get put down for that shit. Thanks for watching. Okay, yeah, thanks for watching this video. The script alone took a long ass time to write out, and recording the video took a shit ton of planning and coordination. So you better hit that like button. If you guys like the video, want me to continue making more content, just let me know, because honestly, I don't give a shit anymore about content, so I just post whatever. Hopefully this gets enough engagement from the Warriors community or something. Let's hope this blows up. So thanks for watching again, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Okay.
Alright, see you guys later.
Bye-bye.
Alright.
Alright, get the fuck out.